The email from the mortgage company felt like a slap across the face. Denied. After 5 years of saving every bonus, eating store-brand everything, and saying no to every vacation my friends planned, I was denied. I stared at my perfect credit score from just 3 months ago, trying to make sense of the catastrophic drop that now filled my screen. My name is Elise, and until today, I thought I knew exactly who I was. 30, successful marketing director, and finally ready to buy my dream condo in downtown Seattle. The one with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view that made my heart skip every time I visited. Now all I had was a number glaring back at me, 520. There must be some mistake, I told the mortgage officer over the phone. I've never missed a payment in my life. Ms. Perry, there's a substantial loan taken out in your name 6 months ago. Multiple disbursements totaling just over $85,000. My stomach dropped. That's impossible. I never. The loan originated from First Capital Bank. Would you like the details? I wrote everything down with trembling hands, ended the call, and drove straight to the bank. The branch manager's office felt too small, too warm, as she pulled up the documentation. Here's the application, she said, turning her monitor, signed by you on March 15th. But it wasn't my signature. It was close, scary close, but the loops were wrong. I'd know my own signature anywhere, and then I saw it, the co-signer's name, Joanna Perry, my mother. I need copies of everything, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The drive to my parents' house was a blur. My mother's Mercedes sat in the driveway next to my sister Ava's new BMW. Of course she was here, probably planning more details for her perfect wedding. They were in the kitchen when I walked in. Mum was arranging flowers while Ava scrolled through her phone, wedding magazines spread across the counter. "Oh, honey," Mum smiled. "I didn't expect you today. We're just finalising the centerpieces." I slapped the loan documents on the counter. "Want to explain this?" The silence was deafening. Mum's smile didn't even falter as she glanced at the papers. "We were going to tell you after the wedding." "Tell me what? That you committed identity theft?" Ava finally looked up from her phone. "Don't be so dramatic, Elise. It's not like you were using your credit for anything." "I was trying to buy a home." "Please," Mum scoffed, arranging another flower. "Who are you buying a home for? You'll never get married anyway, not with your priorities." The room spun. My priorities? Career this, independence that. Ava waved her hand. Meanwhile, I found Donovan, and his family expects certain things. The Newmans don't do small weddings. "So you stole from me?" "Borrowed," Mum corrected. "Once Donovan's trust kicks in after the wedding, we'll pay it all back. You won't even notice." I looked between them, my mother's practiced smile, my sister's entitled indifference. 25 years of Christmas photos on the walls, family vacations, all those forced Sunday dinners where Mum compared my achievements to Ava's latest boyfriend. "You know what?" I said, gathering the papers. "You're right, I won't notice." Mum's smile widened. "I knew you'd understand, sweetheart. Family first, right?" I walked to the door, then turned back with the sweetest smile I could manage. "Of course, I forgive you." The lie tasted like honey on my tongue. In my car, I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a contact I hadn't used in years. Reuben MacDonald, criminal defense attorney. We'd dated briefly in law school before I switched to marketing, but remained friends. He picked up on the second ring. "Elise, this is unexpected." "Reuben, remember when you said I was too nice for my own good?" "Vividly. I need your help, and I need you to not ask questions about why I'm suddenly interested in identity theft laws." There was a pause, then a low chuckle. "Finally showing some teeth, huh? Come by my office tomorrow at 9. Bring coffee and documentation." I hung up and looked back at the house. Through the window I could see them laughing, probably over another wedding detail. Mum was right about one thing. I did have different priorities now, and revenge was at the top of the list. "You're telling me you want to press charges against your own mother?" Reuben leaned back in his leather chair, coffee forgotten on his desk. The same Elise who once apologized to a door for walking into it. I smoothed my skirt, maintaining eye contact. Things change. Clearly. He flipped through the documents again. This is textbook identity theft, clear forgery, multiple counts of fraud. Your mother's looking at serious time if we push this. Good. Reuben studied my face. And you want to wait until your sister's wedding day? 3 months, that's how long we have to build the case quietly. You know, he said, most people would just confront them now. I thought about Mum's dismissive smile, Ava's casual cruelty. Most people haven't spent 30 years being treated like a backup plan. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Ava's text read, "Emergency bridesmaid meeting tonight. Don't be late this time." "Watch this," I told Reuben, dialing Ava's number. I switched to my brightest voice. "Hey sis, just saw your text. Everything okay?" Finally, the florist messed up the orchid order. I need you to help Mum coordinate the new arrangements, and we need to discuss your maid of honour speech. Of course, anything for my favourite sister. I winked at Reuben, who looked both impressed and disturbed. Want me to bring those champagne cupcakes you love? After hanging up, Reuben shook his head. That was terrifying. That was necessary. They need to think I'm still their perfect puppet. I stood up. How soon can you start the paperwork? Give me a week, but Elise... He caught my arm. Are you sure about this? Once we file, there's no going back. They didn't think about going back when they stole my future. The next few weeks were a masterclass in deception. I attended every wedding planning session with enthusiasm, helped Mum pick out her mother of the bride dress, and even organised Ava's bridal shower. All while Reuben quietly built our case. The flowers are divine, Giselle Newman, Donovan's mother, gushed at the shower. You must have spent a fortune. Mom beamed. Only the best for our Ava. I sipped my champagne. Speaking of the best, I heard about the trust fund you're setting up for the newlyweds. So generous. Oh yes, Giselle preened. The Newman family always ensures our children start off right. Donovan and Ava will have quite the nest egg for their future ventures. Later that night I called Reuben. I need you to look into something. The Newmans are creating a marriage trust fund. If Mum used stolen money for wedding expenses, those assets could be frozen, he finished. I'm on it. My best friend Piper came over the next day, finding me surrounded by wedding planning binders. This is getting creepy, you know that, right? Pass me that colour swatch. Elise, she sat down. You're starting to scare me. This whole perfect sister act. It's not an act. I'm just being supportive. I held up 2 nearly identical pink ribbons. Which one says, I love you so much, I'll help destroy your wedding? That right there. Piper grabbed my hands. Listen to yourself. This isn't you. Maybe it should have been. I pulled away. Maybe if I'd shown some teeth years ago, they wouldn't have thought they could get away with this. My phone chimed. Reuben had sent a file, financial records showing Mum had indeed used part of my stolen loan to secure Ava's portion of the marriage trust. It was all connected now, a perfect house of cards waiting to fall. Holy shit, Piper whispered, reading over my shoulder. They really did it. They used stolen money to buy Ava's way into that family. And the Newmans have no idea. I smiled. They're so proud of their social standing, their reputation. Imagine how they'll react when they learn their new daughter-in-law's wedding was funded by fraud. Elise, don't. I closed the laptop. Don't tell me to be the bigger person. Don't tell me to let it go. They took everything I worked for and turned it into centerpieces and cake tastings. Piper was quiet for a long moment. Okay, but promise me something. What? Promise you won't lose yourself in this revenge. I've never seen you like this. I looked at the wedding binders, each tab carefully labelled in my neat handwriting. Maybe that's exactly why they never saw this coming. It's perfect! Ava twirled in front of the mirror, her wedding dress a cascade of silken crystals. Mum, Elise, look at how it catches the light. I smiled, holding up my phone. Let me get a picture for the wedding album. The bridal boutique buzzed with activity, Mom dabbing her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, the seamstress making final adjustments, champagne flowing freely. Everything perfect, everything expensive, everything bought with my stolen future. Ladies, shall we take a champagne break? The boutique owner gestured to a setup of drinks and petit fours. The final adjustments will take about 20 minutes. Perfect timing, I said, grabbing my purse. I need to make a quick work call anyway. As soon as they disappeared into the lounge, I slipped upstairs to the boutique's office. Lockpicking wasn't exactly a skill I'd planned on learning, but Reuben had insisted. Evidence gathering sometimes requires creative solutions, he'd said. The door clicked open easily. Inside, Ava's wedding file sat prominently on the desk. My sister's tendency to be fashionably late to appointments meant her paperwork was always on top. But it wasn't the dress receipts I was after. Bingo! Tax forms, loan applications, income statements. Ava had to provide financial documentation for the payment plan on her $15,000 dress. I quickly photographed everything with my phone. "Elise!" Mum's voice carried up the stairs. "Where are you, darling?" I slipped out, carefully closing the door. "Sorry, just freshening up. You know how wedding planning makes me emotional." Back home that night, I sent the photos to Reuben. His call came within minutes. "Your sister's been busy," he said without preamble. "The income she reported to the bridal boutique is triple what she actually makes. She's lying about her finances to everyone, including Donovan." "Explain." "She claimed a 6-figure salary to qualify for the dress payments, but her actual income is barely $40,000. She's presenting herself as a successful business consultant, but she's really just an entry-level office manager," I finished. "Does Donovan know? Considering his family is investing in their joint future based on her claimed business acumen? I'm guessing no." I thought about Donovan's proud family, their plans to help the newlyweds start a consulting firm, all based on lies. Can we use this? Combined with the fraudulent loan, it's getting better by the day. Reuben paused. "But Elise, I found something else. Your mum's been moving money offshore." My hand tightened on the phone. "What?" "Part of the loan money was transferred to an account in the Cayman Islands. It's in Ava's name." The pieces clicked together. They weren't just stealing from me. They were setting up a safety net, insurance in case their perfect plan fell apart. My doorbell rang. It was Piper, holding takeout and wine. One look at my face and she said, "What happened?" I told her everything while we ate. She listened silently, then asked, "What are you going to do?" "Reuben's drafting an anonymous email to Donovan, just enough information about the offshore account to make him start asking questions. And if he confronts Ava, then I'll be there," I smiled, being the supportive sister who helps smooth things over, until the wedding day. "You're enjoying this," Piper said quietly. "The planning, the scheming, you're actually having fun." Was I? I thought about the rush of finding those documents, the satisfaction of each new piece falling into place. Maybe I am. Is that wrong? I don't know anymore. Piper topped off our wine. "Just remember, revenge might be a dish best served cold, but it can freeze your heart in the process." My phone buzzed. Reuben had sent the email to Donovan, copying me anonymously. The subject line read, "What you should know about your fiancé's finances." "It's done," I said. "Now we wait." "For what?" I thought about Donovan, proud, traditional Donovan, whose family valued honesty above all else. "For the first crack in their perfect facade." Piper studied me over her wine glass. "You know what scares me most? How good you are at this, the sweet sister act, the wedding planning enthusiasm. You're like a completely different person." "No," I corrected her. "I'm exactly who they made me. They taught me how to smile while hurting someone. They showed me how to wrap cruelty in pretty paper and call it love. I'm just finally using their lessons against them." The email notification sound chimed again. Donovan had opened the message. Let the games begin. "Everyone closer together." The photographer waved his hand. Family photos are about intimacy. If he only knew. We stood in my parents' backyard, arranged in picture-perfect formation for the pre-wedding photo session. Mom in her designer suit, Dad looking uncomfortable in his new tie, Ava and Donovan in the centre, and me, the dutiful older sister, smiling like I hadn't noticed the tension in Donovan's jaw every time he looked at Ava. "Beautiful," the photographer called out. "Now, just the sisters." Ava grabbed my hand, pulling me close. "I'm so happy you're here for all this," she whispered. "You've been amazing." "That's what sisters are for." I squeezed her hand, just a little too tight. "No secrets between us, right?" She flinched slightly, but kept smiling for the camera. "Wonderful!" The photographer checked his screen. "Mrs. Perry, would you like to say a few words before the family dinner?" Mom raised her champagne glass, every inch the proud matriarch. "Family is everything," she began, her voice carrying across the garden. "It's about trust, unity, and supporting each other no matter what. I'm so blessed to have two beautiful daughters, and now we're gaining a wonderful son." I caught Donovan's eye during her speech. He looked away quickly, but not before I saw the doubt there. The anonymous email had done its work. "Elise," Giselle Newman touched my arm as the group dispersed. "Walk with me? The gardens are lovely at sunset." We strolled between Mum's prized roses. "I wanted to thank you," Giselle said. "You've been so involved in the wedding planning. It's clear how much you care about your sister's happiness." "I just want everything to be perfect." I paused, then added carefully, "though I worry sometimes." "Oh," Giselle's perfectly manicured eyebrows rose. "About what, dear?" "It's probably nothing." I sighed. "It's just, with such a significant investment from your family in their future, I hope everything is as solid as it seems." "What do you mean?" "I'm sure Ava has been completely transparent about everything, her business, her finances." I let the words hang. Giselle's smile tightened. "Of course, though—" She lowered her voice. "Donovan has seemed distracted lately. Has Ava mentioned any concerns?" "Not to me." I touched Giselle's arm, but I'm sure if there were any issues, they would have discussed them. Communication is so important in a marriage, don't you think? Inside, the tension was thick enough to cut. Ava kept trying to catch Donovan's eye, but he was focused intently on his phone. Mum fluttered around, filling wine glasses and pretending not to notice. "A toast!" Dad stood up, clearly trying to break the awkwardness. "To the happy couple!" Everyone raised their glasses. I watched Donovan's hand shake slightly as he lifted his. My phone vibrated, a text from Reuben. "Second anonymous email sent, bank statements attached this time." Right on cue, Donovan's phone chimed. He checked it, then abruptly stood up. "Ava, can we talk, privately?" "Now." Ava's voice was high, nervous. "We're in the middle of dinner." "Now." They disappeared into Dad's study. Mum started chattering about flower arrangements, but everyone could hear the raised voices through the door. "Financial discrepancies," Donovan's voice carried clearly. "Want to explain this offshore account?" "I don't know what you're talking about." Ava's protest was shrill. "Someone's obviously trying to cause trouble." "I should check on them," I said, standing up. Mum grabbed my arm, but I shook her off. "They need a mediator." I opened the study door to find Ava in tears and Donovan holding printouts of the bank statements. "Elise!" Ava ran to me. "Someone's spreading lies about me. Tell Donovan it's not true." I looked at the papers in Donovan's hands. Evidence of my sister's deception, printed in black and white. "What kind of lies?" "She claimed to be making 6 figures, Donovan said flatly. Said she had investment accounts, business contacts. But these statements, I'm sure there's an explanation," I said soothingly, watching Ava's mascara run. "Right, sis." Ava just sobbed harder. "The wedding's in 2 days, Donovan said. Were you planning to tell me the truth before or after I invested my family's money in our supposed joint venture?" "I was going to make it work." Ava grabbed his arm. "Once we were married, everything would fall into place." I stepped back, letting their argument wash over me. Through the door, I could see Mum's face, pale, worried. She knew this house of cards was about to collapse. My phone buzzed again. Reuben? Ready for phase 3? I typed back quickly. Not yet. Let them stew. The wedding day will be so much better when they're all on edge. The raised voices continued behind me, a symphony of accusations and denials. I smiled. Sometimes revenge was letting people destroy themselves. The forensic accountant's report just came in, Reuben said, spreading papers across his desk. Your mother's been busy. The loan money didn't just go to wedding expenses and that offshore account. There's more. I leaned forward. Show me. Multiple transfers to accounts in the Caymans and Switzerland, all under Ava's name, but your mother's fingerprints are all over the transactions. She's been planning this for months, maybe years. Building a nest egg for her precious baby, I said, my voice bitter. Using my credit to secure her golden child's future. My phone lit up with Ava's text. Please come over. Donovan's still asking questions. I need you. Duty calls? Reuben asked, noting my expression. The devoted sister never rests. I gathered my purse. Send me everything you found. I want to know exactly how deep this rabbit hole goes. I found Ava in her apartment, surrounded by wedding planning chaos and empty wine glasses. He's threatening to postpone the wedding, she sobbed. You have to help me. What exactly did he find out? I asked, sitting beside her. Someone sent him my real bank statements. He knows I lied about my job, my savings. She grabbed my hand. The Newmans are so particular about status, about success. I just wanted to be good enough for them. By lying? You don't understand. Their family has everything. Money, connections, respect. I couldn't tell them I'm just an office manager. I patted her hand, remembering every time she'd lauded her relationship over me. Every snide comment about my single status, my boring career focus. So what are you going to do? Mum says to stick to the plan. Once we're married, the trust fund kicks in. Donovan will forgive me when he sees how good we can be together. My phone buzzed. Another document from Reuben. I opened it while Ava dabbed her eyes. Holy shit, I whispered. What? Nothing. I closed the email quickly. Mum hadn't just stolen my identity. She'd used the money to create a whole false paper trail for Ava's fictional consulting business. Shell companies, fake client lists, everything the Newmans would want to verify before the wedding. Elise? Ava's voice was small. You'll help me fix this, right? You're the only one who always knows what to do. I smiled, thinking of the evidence mounting in Reuben's office. Of course, that's what family is for. Later that night, I met Piper at our usual bar. You should see her, I said, ordering a whiskey. Still playing the victim while sitting on stolen money. And your mum? Operating like nothing's wrong. She actually called to remind me about the rehearsal dinner tomorrow. I showed Piper the latest documents. Look what else she did with my credit. Piper whistled low. This is elaborate. Your mum should have been a con artist. She is. She just conned her own daughter instead of strangers. Elise, Piper set down her glass. Are you sure you want to go through with this? The wedding's tomorrow, once you do this. They should have thought about consequences before they stole my future. But this isn't just about the money anymore, is it? This is about every family dinner where they made you feel small, every comparison, every backhanded compliment. I stared into my drink. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm tired of being the good daughter who takes it all with a smile. My phone lit up, Donovan calling. I answered, switching to my concerned sister voice. Donovan, is everything okay? I need to know something. His voice was tight. And I need the truth. Did you know about Ava's lies? I closed my eyes, savouring the moment. What lies? The business? The money? Any of it? Donovan. I let my voice waver perfectly. I think you should talk to Ava about this. I'm talking to you. Please, I need to know what I'm walking into tomorrow. I caught Piper's warning look but ignored it. All I can say is, follow your instincts. If something feels wrong. He was quiet for a long moment. Thank you. That tells me everything I need to know. After hanging up, Piper shook her head. You're playing with fire? No, I corrected her, finishing my whiskey. I'm playing with ice, cold, calculated, and crystal clear, just like they taught me. Tomorrow was the rehearsal dinner, then the wedding, and then everyone would learn exactly what the good daughter was capable of. The church bells chimed as I helped Ava with her veil. Everything was perfect. The flowers, the music, the hundreds of guests filling the pews, perfect and purchased with stolen money. "You look beautiful," I said, adjusting her train. "How are you feeling?" "Nervous?" Ava gripped my hand. "Donovan's barely spoken to me since the fight, but once we're married—" "Everything will work out exactly as it should," I promised, checking my phone. Ruben's message glowed. "Officers en route, ETA 45 minutes. Mum burst in, resplendent in her designer dress. "It's time! Oh, my babies!" She pulled us both into a hug. I let myself be embraced, wondering if she could feel the legal papers tucked into my maid of honour dress pocket. The ceremony began. I watched Donovan's face as Ava walked down the aisle. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. The priest spoke about trust and honesty while I counted the minutes. Then came my maid of honour speech. I stood, champagne in hand, facing the crowd of expensive dresses and expectations. "Love," I began, "is built on trust, on honesty, on the unshakable foundation of two people binding themselves together with complete transparency." I saw Mum shift uncomfortably. "My sister has always known exactly what she wanted, and she's never let anything stand in her way of getting it." Ava beamed, missing the edge in my words. But Donovan didn't. His knuckles were white around his champagne glass. "To the happy couple," I raised my glass. "May your future together be exactly what you deserve." The guests applauded. Giselle Newman dabbed her eyes with a silk handkerchief, unaware that her family's reputation was about to implode. "Beautiful speech," Reuben murmured, appearing at my elbow. "They're here." I checked my watch. Right on schedule. "Time for the cake cutting?" "You're ice cold, you know that." I learned from the best. I nodded toward Mum, who was showing off Ava's ring to her friends. "Ready?" "Officers are waiting for my signal." He studied my face. Last chance to back out. I thought about my destroyed credit score, about the condo I'd lost, about years of being the responsible one while Ava got everything handed to her. "Do it." Reuben stepped away, phone to his ear. I moved closer to the head table, wanting the perfect view. "If everyone could gather round," the wedding planner called out. "It's time for the cake cutting." Ava and Donovan stood, picture perfect in front of their towering cake. Photographers raised their cameras. Mum wiped away happy tears. The double doors at the back of the hall swung open. "Joanna Perry?" Two officers in formal uniforms stepped forward. The room went silent. Mum's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. Yes? "You're under arrest for identity theft, wire fraud, and financial crimes. You have the right to remain silent." Chaos erupted. Ava screamed. Dad stood frozen. Donovan stepped away from his new wife, his face a mask of cold fury. "What's happening?" Giselle Newman demanded. "What is this?" "Mom?" Ava's voice was shrill. "Tell them this is a mistake. Tell them." But Mum just stood there as the officers approached, her perfect mask finally cracking. Her eyes found mine across the room. "You," she whispered, "you did this." I raised my champagne glass in a silent toast. "Please," Ava sobbed, grabbing Donovan's arm. "We can explain everything. Just wait until after the reception." "Explain what?" Donovan's voice cut through the chaos. "How you lied about everything. How this whole wedding was funded by fraud?" "Not everything was a lie. I love you." "Mrs. Perry," one officer said, "please come with us." "Wait!" Mum's composure cracked completely. "Just let me explain to my daughters." "I think you've explained enough," I said clearly. The room turned to look at me. About priorities, about who deserves what, about family. Understanding dawned in Mum's eyes as the officers led her away. Ava collapsed into a chair, mascara running. The guests whispered and pointed. Phones came out, recording everything. "The trust fund," Giselle Newman said suddenly. "All those business plans. It was all fake." "Every word," I confirmed. "But don't worry, the money's been frozen pending criminal investigation. You won't lose everything, just your reputation." Donovan walked out without a word. His parents followed, heads held high despite their humiliation. Guests began streaming toward the exits, leaving behind half-eaten cake and scattered flowers. I stayed, sipping champagne and watching my family's perfect facade crumble. Mom in handcuffs, Ava in her stolen dress, sobbing, Dad looking lost and small. "Was it worth it?" Piper appeared beside me. I thought about Mum's face when the officers arrived, about Ava's dreams crashing down, about years of being the good daughter, the responsible one, the backup plan. "Ask me tomorrow," I said, and finished my champagne. The aftermath unfolded like a slow-motion car crash. Mum stood handcuffed while the officers read out the charges, each one echoing through the stunned reception hall. Wire fraud across state lines, identity theft, financial crimes exceeding $100,000. "This is ridiculous." Dad finally found his voice. "There must be some mistake." "The only mistake," I said clearly, "was thinking they could get away with it." Ava whirled on me, her wedding dress swishing. You did this to us? Your own family?" "Family?" I pulled out the loan documents. "Like when you and Mom stole my identity to fund your perfect wedding?" The remaining guests gasped. Phones recorded everything. Tomorrow this would be all over social media, the society wedding that ended in handcuffs. "Mrs. Perry," the officer said, "we need to process you now." "Wait!" Mum's perfect makeup was streaking. "Just let me explain to my daughters." "You can explain to a judge." Reuben stepped forward, legal papers in hand. "And there's more. The notary." A woman in a grey suit emerged from the crowd, carrying a thick envelope. "Mr. Newman, these documents require your immediate attention." Donovan, who had been standing in shocked silence, took the envelope. His face went from pale to ashen as he read. "The trust fund," he said hoarsely. It's being frozen." "Pending criminal investigation," Reuben confirmed. "Since it was secured using fraudulent means, all assets are temporarily under Ms. Elise Perry's control." "No!" Ava lunged for the papers, but Donovan held them out of reach. "Donovan, please, we can fix this." "Fix what?" His voice was ice. "The lies about your career, the offshore accounts, or the fact that our entire future was built on stolen money?" The Newmans stood like statues, their social standing crumbling in real time. Giselle looked ready to faint. "I did it for love," Ava screamed. "I needed to be worthy of your family." "Worthy?" Donovan laughed bitterly. "You're not even worthy of the truth." He turned and walked out, his parents following in rigid silence. The remaining guests fled like rats from a sinking ship, leaving behind half-empty champagne glasses and wilting centerpieces. "Elise!" Mum tried one last time as the officers led her toward the door. "I'm your mother. How could you do this to me?" "The same way you did it to me," I replied calmly, "one signature at a time." Dad just stared at me. Decades of willful ignorance finally shattered. "I never knew." "You never wanted to know," I corrected him. "It was easier to let Mom and Ava run their schemes while I paid the price." "The price?" Ava spat, mascara streaking down her face. "Look what you've done. My marriage, Mum's freedom, our reputation. You've destroyed everything." "No." I picked up her discarded bouquet. "You destroyed everything the moment you decided my future was worth less than your wedding. I just made sure everyone saw the truth." The officers led Mom away. Through the windows I could see reporters gathering. Someone had tipped off the local news, probably one of the guests looking for their 15 minutes of fame. "Ms. Perry!" A young officer approached me. "We'll need your statement down at the station." "Of course, my attorney will accompany me." I gestured to Reuben, who nodded. "This isn't over." Ava grabbed my arm. You think you've won? You've just proved you're exactly what Mum always said. Cold, unlovable, alone. I gently removed her hand. Better alone than in handcuffs. By the way, I smiled sweetly. That dress looks lovely on you. Shame about the payment plan being invalidated due to fraud. She crumpled to the floor, a heap of white silk and broken dreams. Dad knelt beside her, finally playing the protective parent. Too little, too late. Piper appeared at my side as I gathered my things. That was justice, I finished. Clean, cold justice. The press is going to have a field day with this. Let them. I looked around the destroyed reception. Flowers worth thousands, food that would go to waste, crystal glasses catching the light, all bought with my stolen future. Some stories deserve to be told. As we walked out, I heard Ava's sobs echo through the hall. Part of me wanted to turn back, to comfort her like I always had. But that part was gone, frozen by years of being treated like a backup plan. Ready? Reuben held the door. I took one last look at my shattered family. Dad trying to console Ava, guests whispering in corners, photographers capturing every moment of the downfall. Ready? I said, and stepped into the flashing cameras, head held high. Sometimes revenge doesn't scream. Sometimes it walks out in stilettos, leaving chaos in its wake. The keys to my new condo jingled in my hand as I stood at the window, watching the sunset paint the city skyline. Not the same condo I'd originally wanted. This one was better. Higher floor, better view, and purchased with perfectly clean credit after the court-ordered restitution. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Socialite wedding fraudster sentenced. Mother takes plea deal. I closed it without reading. I already knew the details. A knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. Piper stood there with wine and takeout. Thought you might want company tonight. How did you know? She held up her phone, showing a social media post. Ava announcing her move to California. The comments were brutal. Apparently, society had a long memory for scandal. Have you read the Reddit comments? Piper asked, pouring wine. Your post went viral. Everyone's debating if you're the villain or the hero. What do you think? I think, she paused. I think you're both, and that's okay. My phone lit up again. A text from Corbin, my ex. Saw the news. Finally understand why you were always so guarded about family. I'm sorry I didn't see it then. Coffee sometime. Are you going to respond? Piper nodded at the message. No. I set the phone down. Some chapters need to stay closed. Another knock. This time it was Reuben, looking oddly formal. Just came from the courthouse. Your mother's plea deal is finalised, 3 years plus restitution. And the trust fund? Released from freeze, but, he smiled, the Newmans pulled their investment. Seems they don't trust Ava's business acumen anymore. I sipped my wine, remembering Ava's tears at the wedding. Dad called yesterday, asked if I'd visit Mum in prison. Will you? No. I walked to the window again. Some betrayals don't deserve forgiveness. Speaking of betrayals, Reuben pulled out his tablet. The forensic accountant found something interesting. Your mother's been doing this for years. Small loans, identity theft, always targeting family members. You weren't the first, just the one who fought back. Any regrets? Piper asked softly. I thought about Mom in her prison jumpsuit, Dad's defeated shoulders, Ava's shattered dreams. The family photos still sitting in boxes, unopened in my new home. Not about exposing them, I said finally. But sometimes I regret enjoying it so much. Does that make me like them? No, Reuben answered firmly. It makes you human. They hurt you systematically, deliberately for years. Finding satisfaction in justice doesn't make you cruel. My laptop chimed. An email from Donovan's mother, Giselle. She'd been sending carefully worded messages since the wedding, each one a masterpiece of polite venom. Dear Elise, I read aloud, while we understand your actions were legally justified, you must understand that exposing family matters so publicly is simply not done in our circles. Perhaps if you'd handled things more discreetly. Delete it, Piper said. She's just mad their perfect family image got tarnished. I clicked to delete, then opened Reddit. My viral post glowed on the screen. Aita for having my mother arrested at my sister's wedding. The comments scrolled endlessly. Some called me cold, calculated, cruel. Others cheered for justice served. Most just wanted more details about the dramatic arrest. "You never answered the question," Reuben noted. "In your post, are you the arsehole?" I closed the laptop. "Maybe, but I'm an arsehole who can sleep at night knowing I stood up for myself. To karma," Piper raised her glass, "and to friends who stand by you while you serve it." My phone buzzed one last time. A text from an unknown number. "It's Ava, before I leave for California. Was any of it real? The wedding planning, the sisterly support? Or was it all just part of your revenge?" I stared at the message, thinking about the months of planning, the careful orchestration, the sweet smiles hiding bitter truth. "Both," I typed back, "just like your love for me was real, right up until you helped steal my future." She didn't respond. She didn't need to. I looked around my new home, bought with honest money, filled with honest peace. No more Sunday dinners pretending we were perfect. No more being the good daughter who smiled through pain. "So," Piper refilled our glasses. "What now?" "Now?" I watched the city lights flicker on, one by one. Now I live my life, without their lies, without their schemes, without their version of love. "To new beginnings," Reuben raised his glass. "No," I corrected him. "To truth, however cold it might be." The city sparkled below, honest in its chaos, beautiful in its clarity, just like revenge.